Welcome to the Everything Spectrum channel. Today we are going to be talking about structure. Today we are going to be talking about structure, or the lack of, and what it does to an autistic brain, or an ADHD, or both, which I am. When I don't have a day that's very structured, this is what I look like. When I have a day that is very structured, this is what I look like. Now, I know that that can be kind of funny to a degree, but what's going on in the inside of an autistic brain when we wake up and we have no idea what we're going to be doing that day and it's open-ended is kind of scary. I know that a lot of people end up, having either shut down, which that's where I go with it. I go on shutdown if I don't know what's expected of me that day. Now, one of the reasons why we do go to either shutdown or frustration to the point where it leads to like a meltdown is because we don't know what the expectations are. It's so open-ended, and the parameters haven't been set up. Like I said, the expectations are so open that I know for myself. And again, whenever I talk on this channel, I'm talking about my experiences, and it's either by me or my kids or other people that I know that are autistic. And the only thing I can tell you is that when I wake up in the morning, I have an amazing day if I know every single moment of my day what's going to happen. Now, what I mean by that for myself is I don't need to know it by the minute. Now, some people do. I don't need to know it by the minute. I just know I've got this meeting, I've got this, I have to mow, I have to, whatever it is. It doesn't matter what it is. I have to write, whatever it is. I just, in my busyness, in my structured, I get so much accomplished. I am actually like, I get to the end of my day and I'm like, oh my gosh, it was just amazing. I feel like I'm thriving. The synapses in my brain are just all connecting. I'm not lost, confused. And it just seems like I can fill in the gaps better in my brain. Like, when I have times where I don't have something, in a pretty structured day, say I have a little bit of time where I don't. Even then, I just feel better. Now, you take that same exact brain, and I don't get anything accomplished if I don't have it spelled out for me. And it can be spelled out by other people or myself. I could write it out, or I just know in my day what is expected, what I'm supposed to do, what my goals are. And I actually end up having a horrible day because I'm constantly moving and trying to figure it out within this huge open-ended world, and nothing is making sense. Everything is blurred, and I spend an entire 12 hours doing so much and getting absolutely nothing accomplished. And on top of that, it creates a feeling of, sadness, hopelessness, on top of the confusion. And then if I don't have people around me, because I really do believe this, that it can lead to a situational depression that can be remedied very quickly if we just have another structured day or moment where we can kind of gather everything together and just get back on track again. That situational depression can go away, or that shutdown. Now, like I talked about earlier, some people go into like, well, and sometimes I can go into a frustration that builds to the point where it feels like I'm going to have, I don't have meltdowns, but it's more like I am just ready to blow because so I feel what those people are going through to a certain degree. But when it comes down to shutdown, now that's where I've always gone. And I just get to the point where I can barely speak. Now, this is an example for myself. Not only do I have to have the day planned out, but I have to know what's going to happen, where I'm going. And part of the problem with that is and most of the time I do, I've been to this particular store a dozen times. I know what's going to happen, so I don't really worry about it, or whatever it is. But say I go to a new place that I've never been before, which I never, ever do. I always have an external brain with me. That's what I call them. It is really difficult when you, for the first time ever, like I can't even tell you the last time I went to a place by myself and I had to take my son to the Special Olympics the other day. Now, yes, he was with me, okay? I get him there, I drop him off, but I couldn't really speak. I had gotten to the point where I was on complete shutdown because after he was gone with his team, I was left in this zoo of people, just zoo of people. I couldn't figure out what I was supposed to do, where I'm supposed to go. And you would think, yeah, Ann, you're just supposed to go sit up in the stands. Well, I'll tell you what, it's not that easy when you've got this autistic brain that just goes zzz, when there's just all this sensory stuff and newness and scariness going on around you. And I did get myself up in the stands and I sat down right on the edge where, you would think, and I normally do feel safer on the edge. I don't like people on either side of me. I don't like people close. So I was sitting on the edge and they said, stand up for the Star Spangled Banner and just the opening of the ceremonies and everything. And I don't have depth perception and I don't have a spatial sense when I get in situations like that where I'm a little bit higher or I don't have anything to kind of hold on to around me if I'm in a new environment. And I can really feel that my senses are just off and my spatial sense is off. So I was praying and doing everything I could to not fall. I mean, I'm a really, it's not like that. I mean, I don't fall. I mean, but I was just breathing and just focusing on standing because my anxiety and my spatial sense, both of those together, was like a 50 out of 10. It was one of the worst ever. So I told myself, get up and walk around. And then, when you come out of a situation like that, which before that, about a week ago, I had to take my 3 kids, and all of them are autistic, to an open house. Well, by the time I got out of there from being around people and trying to be as social as I possibly could, and it was so hard, but I knew what my expectations were going in. So I get myself all ready for it. I'm like, okay, I'll, talk to these certain people and, but you just, no matter what, you can't prepare yourself for certain things, for everything. And you just get exhausted by the time you leave that event. And then there was another time a week before that, which this is really interesting because I normally don't do these things. But, I always believe in trying to go outside of our comfort zone. Live like 1 step outside of your comfort zone is what I say. And I guess I've been, doing that, but it doesn't feel very good. But then I took my son to a birthday party at the Y, and again, it feels like the life is being sucked out of you. And there is nothing, I mean, I don't think I'm as white as a ghost, but I feel like there is not an inch of life left in me by the time I leave a situation like that, and I can't do one more thing. Now, the reason why I'm including it in this structured episode is for a couple reasons. One, because we get in situations like this that aren't planned, or they are planned and you can't figure out every little thing that you have to figure out along the way, and you do your best. And one of the things, like I've said in this video, is I do have an external brain normally that I kind of carry around with me, and she helps me out in so many ways. And even sometimes my kids are my external brain, and it's not that they're thinking for me. I can think better when I have somebody with me, and I don't know why. But there's that. I know that autistic people are anxiety-ridden individuals. I am proof of that. But I'm also one to be able to prove that you can do it. And one of the things that I always do in any of my videos, whether I'm talking about something that is difficult, I always strongly believe with all of my heart that we need to figure out how to adjust to those days. And we are not always the best. But we, like anybody, we can't plan everything in our day. As much as we try to plan what is ahead, it's really difficult for us to do that, because life really doesn't do that. And the neurotypical world doesn't really think of us, unfortunately. And it really surprises me, because there are so many people with disabilities that are trying to navigate the world. And I always say this in some of my speeches that I give, that I really believe that there needs to be training for people, service industry people. And I have given this example before, but when one of us with a disability is standing in front of you, and we're already having a scary day. We've already ventured out into the world. We've already gotten ourselves to the point where we're standing in front of you. And we've worked really hard with our anxiety and the non-structured situation that we've put ourselves in right at this moment. And I was in LA one time, and this person said to me, "Can I help you?" And I said, it was something on the coffee menu. And she said, "What?" And I said it again. And she said, "Are you talking to me?" And I said, "Yeah." And she said, "Well, I didn't know you were talking to me, because you sure weren't looking at me." And I just thought, really? I mean, I'm doing my absolute best to put myself in the situation, like I said, that is very anxiety based. I mean, everything about this whole entire situation is scary. And here I am trying to order this coffee in an LA coffee shop way outside of my comfort zone. Of course, my external brain was with me, but it still is difficult. And you know, the structure that we need is really, really important. But yet, when we are trying to live outside of our comfort zone, outside of that structure, and things aren't going the way that they're supposed to go, or we're just trying to do something new, yay, we're trying to do something new. And people need to learn, especially in the service industry, I think, to learn how to meet us halfway. Um, Another example I give is when I was trying to get on the airplane and I was going through security, and the guy is like, come on, come on, come on. And everything is moving so fast. You've got to get your suitcases on. You've got to, you know, it's going through the belt. You're supposed to be doing all these things correctly. And I'm, of course, not wanting to get flagged. And somebody's going to say, oh, you know, we need to pull her aside and search her more or something like that, because I'm already scared, anxiety filled at this point. And then they're like, you know, come on, get your hands up. And I'm like doing something wrong, and they're like, no, like this, follow the pictures. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And I just was so freaking out in that situation, that I'm just like, really? I mean, I get that we need to move through the line fast, but nothing at that moment, and I don't know if this is normal in the airplane lines, but they need to consider that maybe the person that is there, that they're dealing with, might have some disabilities, and that you need to slow down. And in order for us to go out into that non-structured world and go outside of our comfort zones and our in anxiety filled places for us, that people need to know more about this and help us in order to do this. Because of course we want to do these things, but it would be really great if people would try to help us meet them halfway, and we can do this together. So anyway, those are a couple of the structured situations that we need, and it goes from our day needing to be structured to living outside of our comfort zone in unstructured places and other places that are a little scary, and we're trying to navigate the world, and it is scary for us, but hopefully maybe some people see this and they might be able to train people in service industries and be able to learn, hey, maybe we need to help this person at the cash register that might be having a little bit of a difficult time, because that's me, or in a restaurant, or always just kind of slow things down, because we have a very fast-paced world, and we as autistic individuals want to try to join. So maybe we can slow it down a little bit and just kind of maybe say things a couple more times if we need help, and maybe kind of not, you know, force us to look at you. If you, because I'll tell you what, if you ask me to look at you, my other things go away. So if you want me to hear you, have this conversation with you, I might have to look away. That's just the way it is. So just kind of work with us and we'll work with you. All right. Well, thank you for listening. And as I always say at the end of my videos, keep being real and keep being you.